What is going on, my fellow zombie slayers? It is Nelly B here, and welcome back to a brand new Zombies Radio, hosted by yours truly. And today we got a special guest for the first time back. He is none other than Aria316, the man, the myth, the legend himself. What's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing? Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, man. Yeah. So if you guys don't know who he is the creator of such hits. Yes, I did a little research, as Origin Staffs versus New Origin Staffs, and I'll have screenshots of these on the screen.
Dude, you've done your homework.
Wall by locations and Blood of the Dead, and how could we even forget Rave in the Redwoods, How to Get the Crossbow Wonder Weapon. I think that's his most viewed video right now. But anyways, his channel growth is amazing, and I've known him for a little while, and I thought, why not bring the podcast back and bring one of the only people that I know that are interested in zombies the most. Because a lot of people I know, they're into zombies, but they're not really into the statistics and what's good and what's not good. They like playing zombies, but you know, they can't really hold a conversation for that long, which is why I picked you specifically, because you know what you're talking about.
For the most part, I hope, at least.
So how did you start YouTube? Because usually this podcast will go somewhere else. We'll have different topics later on, but since it's your first one on here, just let the people know how you found YouTube or found the zombies community and decided to post zombie stuff. Because I'm pretty sure that's all you've uploaded so far.
Yeah, so the thing is, I've been playing zombies for a while now, but the thing is, after Black Ops 3 was over, like the whole DLC season was over, I was like, man, I really want to do this YouTube thing. I kind of thought about it. I was at the point in my life when I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I didn't know which field I wanted to go to. Like, I didn't know what university I wanted to go to. So I was like, okay, let me give this YouTube thing a shot, right? So I talked to my girlfriend about it, and she was like, well, just give it a try. And if you fail, you fail. You know, big deal, right?
Exactly.
So after Black Ops 3, I kind of, I don't know, I bought a capture card, and I started to kind of learn the ins and outs of the whole YouTube thing, and it was really painful to learn everything because I didn't know anything, like, at all. I didn't have like I didn't even have a computer. I don't even have a desktop right now. It's just I do everything on like a what is it called? It's like a Razer laptop.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well, that's better than what most people start out with.
Yeah. I mean, I had like a crappy HP laptop,
yeah,
but I used to get a lot of screen tears when I was recording with the capture card. So, I kind of worked a little bit of overtime to try and save some money so I can buy this thing, so I can at least give this YouTube thing a shot. So that's how it started.
Yeah. So how are you liking it? How do you think your progression is going as far as just your personal goals through YouTube?
I'm just getting started. Like, I feel like in the past 30 days I've had a little bit of growth, which is nice to see. But the thing is, like, my goal has always been just 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I've done it all. Like, I've succeeded at this whole YouTube thing, even though most people would probably not see it that way.
Yeah, some people start with 10,000. Some will even go to 100,000. But I think for most people, especially, I think, because our positions are somewhat similar. I think for us, 1,000 is a good number to feel comfortable with where you're at on YouTube. And if you get even further than that, that's even better.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, go further than that, that'd be awesome. But if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna be like, okay, Jesus, take me. I've done it all. It's like, okay, I'm done. I've succeeded.
You're gonna have to start making diss tracks on people. I see a couple of people in the zombies community have been doing that. Not like Lex or anybody, but Fandom Hub and a few other people. They're actually kind of good. You should probably check them out.
Doing diss tracks?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
They're funny. They're funny. They're not
That's-
like, oh,
that's
this
new.
is so lyrical, but they're funny. You'll get the references because
Yeah.
a lot of them are zombies related. So
Okay, I guess we found the new genre of YouTube. It's the zombies diss tracks.
exactly, it started with Killing Time, bro, and just
Yeah.
kept going from there. Blew up.
Hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the game and some of the patch notes. And I'll switch my screen over on OBS to that right now. And going down, they'll be able to see it on my screen, but there is a lot, and we're going to be skipping most of it just to get to the zombie stuff and just to show you zombies fixed, crash. That's most of what they did. They added a few other things in, but I haven't even been able to play the update yet. So let's talk about before the patch, because the video that I uploaded last was the video that I uploaded before this one talks a lot about my problems, and a lot of other people related to it, but I didn't even know that there were this many other problems with zombies, and it's nice to see that they acknowledged it and that they fixed it. And there's something that people had brought up, that Treyarch wasn't really focusing too much on the community as a whole, but just the bigger streamers, and that was quote unquote justified from a Reddit post that we'll talk about later. And I think this right here explains or completely dismisses that argument, because I haven't even heard Milo or Lex or Noah talk about these, so I think they are paying much more attention than at least I gave them credit for.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think this whole, like the update that we got yesterday, and if you look at the patch notes, they're super detailed, right?
Yeah.
There's almost like 60 crash fixes, and they've detailed everything. It's like everything is so specific, and I feel like that's all Milo. Like, that's literally
Yeah.
him doing this. And
He's
that's the power that you possess when you're, this big of a content creator
Yeah,
on
and
YouTube.
so close to Blundell as well.
Yeah, and he's so close, and he's worked closely with Activision and Treyarch before, so, I mean, he's got a voice. So
Yeah.
when he made that video, like, I don't think before that anyone was like, well, the problem is, the patch notes aren't as specific. No, everybody just wanted the game to be fixed.
Yeah.
They didn't care about the patch notes.
Exactly.
But Milo came out and said, okay, how about the patch notes? How about we make the patch notes be a lot more specific so that we know what you're fixing?
Yeah.
And that's when they started doing that, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, that's also something that I thought about, and a lot of other people probably thought about that as well. Just because of the fact that there's such a big company that personally, if I could get a job just doing that, I would be on top of that. But Treyarch probably thought that they didn't need to, and that's fine, I guess. But I'm glad that they started doing it.
Yeah, because I feel like they lost a little bit of credibility with how unstable the game was, and they've been doing their best to sort of gain the trust back, right?
Yeah.
The trust of the community, to sort of gain it back, and it's been hard, especially with the whole Reddit thing, which I guess we'll talk about at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been hard for them for sure.
So I haven't really experienced as many of the crashes or bugs that they talked about in the patch notes, but apparently they were happening to a lot of people, and one of the things that was happening to a lot of people were the blue screens. Now, that was one of the problems that I hadn't experienced, because one, I'm on PC, and if my PC crashes, or if the game crashes, my PC is probably crashing. So
Right.
it wasn't the game's fault. Another thing was, or actually, let's just stop there. What is your take on the blue screens? Because you play on PS4 and you've played a little during the update. So how did it change?
Honestly, I mean, it wasn't, for me at least, it wasn't that bad to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay? And that might just be my luck, right? I mean, I don't go for like super high rounds, or I don't do the Easter eggs every day. So before all the patches, um, I had a couple of blue screens. I had one like around 10 in Voyage, and that was really weird. But I had one in theater mode, and that was about it. And after the patches, I haven't had any since. Yeah, so I mean, my experience with the blue screens hasn't been that bad.
Yeah.
But I understand that some people have been experiencing a lot of blue screens, and I mean a lot.
Yeah.
So I understand the frustration.
I think Milo said in his previous video, which obviously will be linked down in the description of this video, he was talking about his blue screens, and he said approximately 70% of all of his games ended in blue screens, which was crazy to me. I hadn't experienced it from other people like that, but that just goes to show you how serious the problem could have potentially be for certain people. I guess because he obviously does the Easter eggs and he tries to get guides out and stuff like that. I wasn't doing that, and I probably would have experienced more crashes doing that, but I saw the Easter eggs and I don't really have anybody to play with. I was just like, it's not for me. It's not for me. So yeah, I did the game. This happened in Black Ops 3 2 on the PS4. If I had skipped too fast through a theater mode clip, it would kick me out. And I haven't.
It does that still.
Yeah, I think that's just a problem with either the hard drive that you have, because the information is stored in there, and your hard drive can only move so fast. And I think if there's too much information, then it just stops. But that's just one theory of mine. I don't actually know. It could be something else. It could be processor priority or whatever. But
when you skip. When you skip forward, when you're in theater mode and you skip forward too fast, the console can't render the textures as fast as you would want it to, so it just ends up crashing.
Yeah.
And it still does that, but it's not a blue screen for me, at least. It's like it's called Rapid Rage.
Yep.
The error is called Rapid Rage, which is a funny name, but yeah, I guess they had to give it a name.
Yeah. So, blue screens, from what I've heard since, I think they've been addressed, they've been talked about numerous times from Treyarch, even before this patch, and I think the more they work on it, the less of a problem it'll be, obviously. The next part are some of the additions that they had added in and didn't add in, but said they were going to add in. What were some of them? They're called
factions
and callings. I don't know enough about those to speak on them, but one of the only things that I do know is that Treyarch said that, or at least Blundell said that they were ready to go on launch, and it's a month after launch and they're still not here, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I could understand everybody's frustrations with those things. I mean, I don't think it should be that hard to implement those things, but then again, I'm not a developer, so I don't know. It could be that they were ready to go, and somebody was QA testing them, and they encountered a problem that's really hard to fix. It might be a little time consuming to get it sorted out. So, and with all the bugs and crashes and the bad publicity they're getting, they probably want to make sure that it's as good as a product as it could possibly be when they launch it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's what they're waiting on, because Black Ops 4 has been a game that's been struggling with stability and all those things. So that's one of the things that they're probably concerned about.
I think callings and factions will also have a big thing to do with the leveling system, or at least I hope. Because right now I've been trying to level grind as much as possible, and the only thing that comes from it are the levels, the prestiges, and some Neblunium plasma, which is 100, which is actually pretty good, but still I don't think it's enough incentivization for someone to say, I'm gonna go past prestige 5. Why would somebody do that when they're just gonna restart over with everything? But I went through Black Ops 3. I tried to go through Infinite Warfare. That didn't really work out, but I'm going to try and go through Black Ops 4, and hopefully the callings are just going to be enough to, when you get to that point where it's like, do I really want to keep going? I hope those are there for people that are going to try and, complete the leveling system, and kind of like the black market for
Blackout, yeah.
for Blackout and multiplayer.
Yeah.
So, how do you think that they're gonna work? How do you think that they're gonna interact with the game?
Well, I think callings are specifically going to be for either Nebulium Plasma or maybe some extra XP or maybe, hopefully, earning weapon variants.
Yeah.
I hope that's a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or even camos, if they could do that, that'd be great. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the whole Nebulium Plasma thing, man.
We can talk about
That
it
is
if you
a-
want.
I mean, I guess we can segue into that. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing, I don't know, how do you feel about that? The whole Nebulium Plasma microtransaction system.
I've thought about it, and I don't really care as much as I used to because, again, the classic elixirs are some of the best in my opinion because I'm a solo player, and as long as I can use aftertaste, I'm perfectly fine. But I think the only tampering that has to be done with that system is the regeneration system for the elixirs in game, which is another
yes.
topic that we can talk about in a little bit. But back to Nebulium Plasma, I think the game can only benefit by upping the amount to at least 20, because we only get about 15 or 16 every hour, and by 20 I mean 20 every hour. And during double Nebulium Plasma, it seems like you get a lot, and I think that's a bit excessive. Some people were pushing for that, which would be like 30 to 32 every hour, but I think 20 is good enough. I don't want the system to be so overpowered where you just have unlimited gobblegums like you do in Black Ops 3. I think Black Ops 4 is trying to be something different than that, which is why it has completely new elixirs and taken some out, and we'll probably add some seen from Black Ops 3 into Black Ops 4 in the future. But all in all, I think the system is all right. The only problem I have again with it is adding a couple more elixirs every hour, and or even changing the system to XP. How much XP you get?
If I may, I'm gonna disagree with you on this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I think the Nebulium Plasmas, the whole microtransaction system for Black Ops 4 Zombies, is just plain old terrible. I think it's just awful because the thing is, like, you have to have 75 for a single spin.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a little outrageous.
and yeah, and then if you go to like round 30 on 9, I did it yesterday, and I got 24 Nebulium Plasmas. Okay, so that means I have to go to round 30 3 times for a single spin.
Exactly. That's basically 5 hours of your life.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like, it's just a grind fest, and they're expensive as hell. And I just feel like they need to like tone it down, and they need to increase the earn rate for the Nebulium Plasmas significantly. Like, I mean significantly. Like, if you play till round 30, you should at least get 60. At least.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
That's reasonable.
But then again, yeah. I mean, because the thing is, like, the elixirs that we have right now, they're not even that good.
Yeah. Some are,
You know?
the best ones are some of the more basic ones, like the double points and the
Yeah.
the insta kills and stuff. I don't see any benefit to a lot of the, or I guess 2/3 of the ultra rares or what they are, the yellow ones.
Legendaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of them is a max ammo, and the other is a revives teammates that have died out.
Right. They're terrible.
Those aren't really worth the once in a blue moon chance of getting them.
Yeah.
And going back to something that you said earlier, you can buy Nebulium Plasma on PS4.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're
Oh.
expensive as hell.
They haven't added that to the PC version yet. They haven't added
Yeah.
a lot of stuff, so I'm missing out on a decent amount of the game that I should have to be able to do this video. But we're
Well,
doing it anyway.
as far as the microtransaction system goes, man,
not-
you ain't missing out on
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the system does need a rework. I think that they rushed it out and they put too much of their cards in on the previous system that they used. Black Ops 3 and thought that it would work out in Black Ops 4, which
Yeah.
it could if it was changed, but I think it just needs not a complete rework, but they need to go back a little bit further and figure out what's wrong with it, because it's yeah, like you said, it's too expensive. They're too hard to get. They take forever to get, and the elixirs that you would get for it aren't even really as useful as the ones that you would get just playing the game.
Right. I've been meaning to like make an entire review of the whole elixir system and the talismans, because I feel like talismans are one of the worst additions in the game.
Really?
Yeah, the talismans. The thing is, the chance of you actually getting them is so rare, and the talismans aren't even that good. I feel like they're not good enough for you to just grind, hours and hours of the game for. Like, there are talismans that like give you an LMG for the start of the game.
Yeah.
Like, they help you with the beginning. Like, they're more like they help you speed run the Easter eggs, maybe. Okay. Yeah. But they don't really do much more. There are a couple of them that are good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple of them that are really overpowered, but most of them are just not really that good. They're not interesting at all.
Yeah.
They're just kind of boring, and they're not good, and they're really hard to earn. So that just makes them really. It makes this whole system just a very bad microtransaction system, true. In my opinion.
I could see that. My only counterpoint to that would be, I think the only problem with the system is that there are too many right now. I think if there were as many as there were at the end of the game that there are right now, that would be fine. But I think they're going to be adding in more. I hope they don't, but they might be adding in more. They most likely will, just to increase the amount of things that you could get, and they might even add in like useless ones, like they did.
Zombies Chronicles.
Zombies Chronicles.
Zombies Chronicles had some really useless gobblegums. Had some really good ones, but had some useless ones.
Well, what were some of them? Zombies Chronicles got gobblegums?
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of which ones they were.
Yeah. We got 5 new gobblegums, and one of them was actually Power Vacuum, which was extremely overpowered. Mm-hmm. And there were some of them that were like, I think it was called board games or something like that, where if you repair a barricade and there are zombies around you, it'll kill the zombies.
Yep, yeah.
But it's the radius is so small. It does nothing. It's pointless.
Yeah. I think that's what they're gonna do with the talismans. They're just gonna oversaturate them with
just water it down.
Gimmicky ones, kind of cool ones. They might add in a few of them just to be like, hey, there's a good one that you might get. But I think if there were less of them, the system would work better. But that system also would work 10 times as much better if they reworked it as well, or rethought it out at least. I feel like me saying rework it is telling Treyarch or the people that are watching this that I want them to redo the whole system or remake the game. I don't want that. I think that it just should have been thought out in a different way. But
yeah, just tune it, like just adjust the earning rate system for the Nebulian Plasma so that it's not as big of a grind, like it's not as much of a grind to just earn Nebulian Plasmas. I feel like it's just it takes way too long to earn those things. So it takes way longer than liquid diviniums. That's for sure. That's true. Yeah.
So for the elixirs, let me get your perspective on it, because you can be as specific as you want or as broad as you want. What do you think about that system?
The whole elixir system, I think it's fine. I think it works well, but I think they should have never touched it. They should have never touched the classic elixirs. That was a very bad move, and obviously, I don't think Jason Blundell did that. I don't think anybody at Treyarch in the right mind would ever let something like that happen.
Yeah,
I think it was an Activision move for sure, because they need to make as much money to compensate for having a small penis, I guess. I don't know. But they have anti-consumer practices, and they just keep doing this whole thing, and just I don't know, it's just really annoying.
Yeah,
because when the Nebulian Plasma is already difficult to earn. and then they nerfed the classic elixirs. They nerfed the cooldown time. It was initially 3 minutes. It was 180
Yeah.
seconds. I remember this because I was gonna make a video about it. It was 180 seconds. What do you call it? The cooldown time was 180 seconds. With the time slip perk, modifier, it was 153 seconds.
Oh, okay.
And now it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's literally 20 minutes, and with the time slip modifier, it's 18 minutes and some seconds. It's just awful. It's the worst thing ever.
I mean, there's a very, very small justification for it, as in from a business standpoint, where it might lead you to wanting to buy ones that regen quicker, which are the ones that cost money. But
yeah.
in game, why would that matter? When you're in game and you have a classic elixir and you use it and it recharges, it takes forever to recharge. What's the point of even putting it on in the first place? Cause
they're just trying to make it so that you don't want to, like, you hate classic elixirs now.
Yeah.
Right? So as a result of that, you just switch over to the rare and the legendaries, and you just
They
use
shouldn't have
those
made him so
instead.
good though.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just the thing is, I think they're doing this just so later on, when they do eventually decrease that cooldown time to maybe like 10 minutes, people will be satisfied with it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're gonna give you one extreme, so that way, you know, when we bring it down to 10 minutes, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be complacent, right?
You're gonna be a lot more happier
gonna be okay with it.
than you were a week ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, at least it's not 20 minutes anymore.
Exactly.
You know, you're still gonna be happy.
With that being said, now I'm still gonna complain about it. But
Absolutely, me too.
yeah, I think a lot of stuff can be fixed, and I think it was very noble of Treyarch to drop a huge update. I would consider it a day one patch, but shade. No,
Pretty much.
that's another thing with the release being so early. We'll get into this too because of the next Reddit post, but I think it was entirely Activision that said put your game out earlier, because games like PUBG and Fortnite were just eating up all of their money, that all of their revenue and their stock shares and stuff. But and Treyarch really got hit hard with that, just simply because of Activision's choice to make more money quicker.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, I think World War II, Call of Duty World War II didn't do as well as Activision expected them to do. Like, they didn't really do well in post-launch microtransaction sales. So I feel like they need to sort of make up for that by pushing more in Black Ops 4.
Yeah, and in my opinion, the way I see it, World War II got shafted by Activision too with the earlier release for Black Ops 4, because didn't they have like an entirely different DLC path after DLC 2 or DLC 1? Sorry. For different
zombies?
maps. Yeah.
Oh, well, that was after DLC 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was DLC 1 was the Darkest Shore, and then DLC 2 was the Shadowed Throne, and then DLC 3 was the Tortured Path, which, okay, I don't know if I say this, which in my opinion is the worst map / DLC we've ever gotten, and I've already made a video about that, so I'm not gonna get into it.
Very good video, by the way.
Thank you. So, and then after that we got the Frozen Dawn, so they reverted back to the normal zombies after DLC 3, so I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with that, but I don't think the post-launch microtransaction sales for zombies in World War II Zombies did well at all.
Yeah.
Because they had nothing in that system. That system was just absolute garbage.
Yeah.
The whole
I
microtransaction
can't speak
system
too much
for
on World War
zombies.
II. Oh, sorry. You were cutting out. Are you still talking?
Yeah, in World War II, I was talking about World War II Zombies microtransactions, the supply drop system in that game for zombies. I think it was really bad. Like, the items that you would get were just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think people actually spent real money on that, unless you were like a hardcore YouTuber.
Yeah, I doubt it too. Or someone who, like me, when I first found the zombies community, I think that's another talk for another time. But before I found out what like the zombies community was, when I heard Ghost was coming out and they were going to have a co-op mode or whatever,
Extinction,
yeah, I didn't know what it was at the time, and I don't think anybody did, and I thought it was going to be zombies. I thought it was going to be the same zombies, the same crew, because I didn't know how any of the developing teams worked, so I was excited. And if that had microtransactions, I honestly probably would have spent money on them, and that's just comes from the I guess ignorance would be a harsh word, but ignorance would be the correct word as well, because I didn't know what was going on, and someone who likes Treyarch zombies and buys World War II and finds out that there's zombies on it, they're like, oh, this was made by the same people. And that's also another topic. I'm getting so many ideas just from this one episode.
That's fine. We can talk about all those if you have the time, obviously.
No, those are going in a different video, because I have no idea what I'm going to talk about in the next Zombies Radio. So those are going in the lockbox. But I actually haven't played any World War II maps after the first one, and will actually be able to get to do that sometime next week, probably on Black Friday, actually. If I'm able to get my hands on the Walmart PS4, the deal that they have there.
I mean, the thing with World War II Zombies, I won't get too much into it, but the thing with World War II Zombies is that it wasn't a bad game. The problem I had with it, I think it was just uninspired.
Yeah.
Like, it was just mediocre.
I heard that from a lot of people.
Okay, yeah. The thing is, like, World War II, I had a lot of frustrations about World War II Zombies, because World War II Zombies was like your friend who's always drunk, who's always doing bad shit, and he's just a nuisance and he's a goddamn disaster. But then when you sit down and you talk to him, you're like, I know you're a pain in my ass, but you're still my friend, and I think you have a lot of potential to be something really great. That's the kind of frustrations that's the kind of frustration I had with World War II Zombies, because I felt like it had a lot of potential to be something truly great, but it was just missed opportunity after missed opportunity after missed opportunity, and then eventually everybody just kind of lost interest in the mode. I mean, I stuck with it, but I can't say I had a blast.
And being someone who watched from the outside, that was very evident. And even just, watching gameplay of the maps, I think the Darkest Shore was where I was like, yeah, maybe this mode isn't so good, because I did enjoy Groston House and what was the
Final Reich?
The Final Reich. I kind of enjoyed those. They did get boring after a couple days, but I think if I were to go back with them, I'd still have a little bit of fun. But World War II Zombies as a whole was I wouldn't say a mistake, but it could have been better, and I think there were a lot of different things holding it back from getting better. But I was just about to segue into something else that isn't written down, which I will save for the next time. But right now we're going to be talking about the second Reddit post of the day, which I will not bring up because I don't have a screenshot or anything. But before we get into this, I want to let everyone know that by the time this was recorded, there is no confirmation that any of this is actually true, aside from certain aspects that we'll get into in a little bit. But anyways, most of you know by now, a user by the name of Call of Nobody Cares supposedly leaked a ton of information after being fired from his position as a QA, or quality assurance for those of you who don't know, at Treyarch. And he claims the team he was with was on a break, lunch break, and when they got back, their boss had said that they were fired because they moved the lunch break an hour forward, prompting him or her, whatever gender they have, to fire said QA worker. And what this guy's job was to basically test the game, more specifically test the Easter eggs and make sure that they were actually playable. And apparently he said that he worked really hard to obtain the position, and he was homeless for 2 years, basically homeless for 2 years in the process. And again, none of this is actually confirmed, and the story that he speaks about is a very sad story, which some people just based off of that, how the way he worded everything and the way because it sounded almost too sad, if that makes any sense. And after all of that happened, the now former employee thought it was a good idea to let everyone else in on what was going on with Treyarch pertaining to Black Ops 4. The post contained a lot about future DLC, patches, ideas, as well as complications working at Treyarch. And as for the question of is it real, I think that we can all agree that it's much more nuanced than that. And I have a few possibilities that I think might have happened. Number one, this is all true and they were fed up with how they were being treated, the worker, and felt that the company's response to firing them was unjustified, thus prompting them to make the post. Number two is they were fired, but not for this same reason that they stated. I think in this scenario, Treyarch was justified in firing them for whatever reason it may have been. After this, Call of Nobody Cares felt some sort of animosity towards Treyarch and decided to make the post. And number three, which I think is personally the least likely, this person is lying about everything, and yeah, I just don't think that one is as true as the other two could be. And to cap this synopsis off, I think watching Milo's video, it saddens me to say this, that it took Milo's video to realize that leaking is inexcusable. I think what this person did was wrong.
Right.
I think what this person did was unjustifiable, even if they were fired, and that gets into a whole nother discussion where whether or not it was right for Treyarch to fire them in the first place. If everything is true, even if everything is true, I still think, you know what, we're not even going to get into that. I was thinking about talking about it, but we're just going to skip right over that because that could bring a lot of hate to this channel. But
no, that's fine. Just, I guess, because
ahead.
I kind of want to know what you personally think of the whole situation. What do you think happened? Because, okay, before we get into this,
Yeah.
I wanna let everyone know we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
We can't know 100% what went on. Okay, none of us know what happened. Okay, this is something between an employee and an employer. Okay, the only ones that actually know what went down are those two parties involved. The public doesn't know the details. So if we're going to talk about this, I just want to let everyone know that this is 100% speculation. We're just going to basically say what we think actually happened, not what actually went down.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think happened? I
think that this person wasn't fired for just that specific reason. I think they were fired for being I would say sort of the community at the time within the headquarters. They weren't being as polite as they should have been when talking about the bugs and stuff that they were supposed to be talking about, but he just wasn't being he wasn't acting as he should have in his position. He was acting as someone in the comment section of a video instead of being a bit more professional. And I think that some of the things that he brought up to Treyarch might have been from where he was looking overlooked. But I think all in all, Treyarch has their own system of getting the information and getting the information, working with that information, and then letting the people know when they're done with what they're doing okay, I just confused myself. I think Treyarch takes the information that they get, and they do whatever it is that they do with it, whether they're trying to fix it, improve upon it, change it, and then when they finish that, they let everybody know what is happening. And I don't think Treyarch is ignoring people. I don't think Treyarch was ignoring this
right.
this person. It's obviously evident from the Reddit post, the patch notes and stuff. So I think this person was lying about how they got fired, but I do think this person was fired. I do think that this person did really enjoy the game and did really like it, just like all of us, and how we were commenting on videos and talking on Twitter and the whole conversation at large. I just think he wasn't handling it right, and Treyarch thought that they didn't want that type of employee there, which is why we all don't work at Treyarch. So, yeah.
Well, I have some really strong, unpopular opinions about this whole situation, and I know it's unpopular because I've seen the reaction to this whole situation. So, but I mean, the thing is, I don't care. I'm gonna say.
Go ahead, man.
I'm gonna say what I think anyway. So,
Yeah.
The thing is, this person gets fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then right after he gets fired, he goes on Reddit and then he explains his situation, which is just absolutely bizarre. That whole situation of how he got fired over like a lunch break or whatever, it's just bizarre, okay? And he's claiming that he's doing this because he's trying to bring more attention to how poorly some of the QA testers are being treated at Treyarch, apparently. But the thing is, then he starts leaking a whole bunch of Easter eggs, okay? And the thing is, how does that help you? How does that help any QA tester ever? If anything, you're making them look bad.
Exactly.
Okay? Because leaking, I don't care if you're part of this community or you're working at Treyarch, leaking is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Last year, or it was 2 years ago, I can't remember, Glitching Queen leaked the trailer for World War II Zombies, and everyone was just ready to fucking crucify her.
Yeah.
Okay? But then this guy leaks all the Easter egg steps, and somehow he's still the victim? I don't understand. So, okay, but we'll get more into that.
Yeah.
He's claiming that he's standing up for how his fellow QA testers are being mistreated at Treyarch, right?
Yeah.
And then he starts leaking stuff. Okay. But the thing is, anyone that has ever had a real job knows that you don't just get fired for a single reason.
Yeah.
You never that never happens unless it's something like really extreme. Like if you go on like a huge racist rant, or if you sexually assault someone at work, yeah, they're gonna fire you. First strike, you're out. Okay? But the thing is, Treyarch is not like a small business. They're a huge company.
Yeah.
Okay?
Which is owned by an even bigger company.
Yeah, and they're owned by a billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah.
Okay? Surely they have guidelines, and they have a human resources department. Okay? Now, what this guy should have done is, if he was being mistreated, he should have picked up a phone and contacted the human resources department and explained the situation to them, and the HR department is obligated to help you.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the right or you're in the wrong, 9 times out of 10, they will take the employee's side. Most likely, I mean, even if it's somewhat justified that you're being mistreated, they will still take the employee's side. Okay?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if he's being treated unjustly, then the HR would have to step in, and they would have to investigate. That's their job.
Exactly.
They have to do it. Okay? The thing is, the problem I have with this whole situation is that there's a plethora of things you can do to help your your fellow QA testers, and even your situation, that doesn't involve you going on Reddit and explaining this situation to the public.
Yeah.
You know, to a bunch of people that really weren't there, so they don't even know if you're telling the truth or not. So there's a lot of things that you can do to help your situation. You could contact the HR department. You could claim unemployment. You could talk to a member of the management. You could, contact Activision. There's a shitload of things you can do that doesn't involve you talking to the public about a situation that they don't quite, they don't understand.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think that person completely understanding the situation, and what you just said and what you said a little bit earlier ago speaks volumes about this situation in particular, and this situation in general, where an employer unjustly, in your opinion, fires an employee. I don't think that the public has any say in that. I think that you can
Right.
have your opinion about it, and that is perfectly fine. Anybody can have their opinion about anything, but I think that it should be handled between them two, because the public doesn't know the whole situation. The public will not know the whole situation just simply because of the restrictions in place by the company and by the government, to where their business together, the employer and the employee, and the information that they share together can't be talked about in public. And
Right.
I think for certain
Non-disclosure agreement.
I think that the situation was blown out of proportion. I think that the worker had a misinterpretation of the situation. He probably didn't notice that he was doing something before, and had probably been told that he was went on lunch too early, and then all of a sudden was fired for maybe reasons that they were already talking about. So, like you said, nobody can really know the whole situation, neither the employer or the employee, and they'll work that out together, and hopefully eventually the best possible conclusion for the business and for the ex-employee happens. That's really all I can say about the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I don't believe this guy, just because, you know, when something like that happens, you go and you go on public and you talk to the public about it. It just goes to show that you were probably someone that's not very professional in the working environment. That
Yeah.
you probably might have had low ethical standards. And the thing is, he did all this knowing that Activision would come after him.
Yeah.
Right? So that actually makes him a little bit dumb, to be honest, because you're doing something that you know you're going to get punished for, but you're still doing it. And the thing is, we don't know both sides of the story, right?
Yeah.
If he was being mistreated, I hope they fix that situation. I really do. I just don't think it went down as he says it did.
Yeah.
I just think that he's either over exaggerating, or he's withholding information. Like, he's not telling us important parts of the story.
Yeah.
Like, for all we know, this guy could have been banging the boss's daughter for like 2 weeks
Yeah,
straight.
for real.
And eventually they were like, yeah, we got to get rid of him.
The whole situation could have been completely different, and we just don't
Yeah.
know that. And from the simple fact that this guy took the opportunity to talk about his misfortune with a company that could have gotten him much more recognition if he had just talked about that, and he decided to leak stuff, I think that speaks about his credibility in itself, and that he's not really credible at all.
Yeah, a lot of people, well, like, when I asked them, like, I've asked a bunch of people, I'm like, okay, how do you know this guy's telling the truth? They're like, well, his leaks were true. I'm like, okay, but his leaks being true just proves that he worked at Treyarch.
Yeah.
It doesn't prove that he was mistreated. It doesn't prove that in the slightest. It just proves that, yes, he was indeed a QA tester working at Treyarch for 2 years, and he knew inside information. That doesn't explain or confirm his situation and how he was fired. The thing is, big corporations like, you know, Activision and big companies like Treyarch, they have guidelines, you know. They're a big corporation. Usually when you make a mistake, they give you a warning. Okay, fine, they're going to let you off with a warning, and you keep making the same mistake. They're probably going to write you up. They're going to give you like a write-up, and they're going to have you sign it. Okay, you've been written up. It's been documented. So after you get fired, here's the reason.
Yeah.
Right? And here's the thing. I think the reason why this employee didn't go to the HR or didn't talk to a member of the management is probably because he was fired for a legitimate reason. And he knew that he was in the wrong, and that he couldn't probably fight back because he was in the wrong. So he's angry, and he's, you know, probably irrational, and he does the only thing he thinks he can do to hurt Activision and Treyarch, which is go on Reddit and basically just stick it to Activision, right? Just try to get the public to your side.
Riled up.
Obviously,
I think that I don't want to make any implications about anybody, but I think just in general, if we from the outside looking in at social media in general, I think in today we do have an outrage culture, and I think that's probably something that he was shooting for. That this would be taken as serious as possible right away, and then blown up as much as possible right away. And I don't think that happened for him, and it kind of backfired. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, he did succeed to a certain degree, because if you went on, like, if you go to like Treyarch's Twitter account, and if you like read the comments and stuff, and people are just going crazy about the whole QA tester situation. True. But the thing is, like, we don't know if that actually happened. We just don't know. The thing is, Black Ops 4, and here's another suspicion I have. Black Ops 4 is a game that was at least highly unstable. So that means that it wasn't QA tested properly, which could mean that some of the QA testers, if not all of them, weren't doing their jobs properly, right?
It could have been the other way around, where he wasn't telling them about the problems in the game.
Like, this guy could have had insubordination issues. Like, he could have been very insubordinate. He could have had attitude problems. He could have been leaking stuff, but they couldn't just prove it, so they eventually had to get rid of him. I just don't think it went down the way it did, because even if you are an evil giant corporation, you don't just let people go. You still need people to run your shit, right? You still need people,
especially with the employee that has the most QA what's it called?
Yeah.
The most game complaints, I guess, is what you would say. Most
bugs reported. Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't just let him go if he wasn't, like, if he didn't probably have attitude problems, or maybe he was unprofessional, or maybe he was late. Like, these are the things that we don't know. Like, he could have been all these things, okay? And we just don't know. It was the same situation with Sledgehammer Studios and Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, and people saying that they were mistreating their employees, and that's why they were witch hunted out of Sledgehammer Studios. And the thing is, we don't know that either, right? Yeah. We just don't know the whole situation. So, those are my thoughts on it. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I have to be honest and true to myself. I just don't think it went down the way it did. If it went down the way it did, if what he actually says is true, I hope he gets the justice that he deserves. And I hope the people who have done it to him get what they deserve.
Yeah. I think that is the end of that conversation, though, because we are coming up on about an hour of recording right now. So this is going to be very fun to edit. The last few things that I want to go over are just some things that he mentioned in the Reddit post, not the leaks for future DLC or anything like that, because I didn't even read them myself. I heard about them. I tried not to listen to it. I was playing zombies while I was watching Milo's video, so I tried to tune that stuff out as much as possible. So I don't know about that. But there are some interesting things that I found in the Reddit post that were just interesting to me. They most likely, or they could have been real, they could have not been real, but I think a few of the things in here are definitely worth talking about. Like, the first thing, campaign. It ended in mid-2017, and that's pretty obvious. That's about the time PUBG and Fortnite came around and took up most of the multiplayer community from online streaming and just gaming in general. Campaign ended, and what campaign was supposed to be was a 2v2 race to finish a map. And like Milo said, I don't know what they were thinking.
That's a big yikes for me, dog.
I'm happy that it isn't a thing. I kind of would like to see something from the development of that, because they had to have been at least a quarter of the way through and had their idea set and basically what was going to happen. I think there is sort of a quote-unquote campaign mode where it explains the story of the specialists and multiplayer and Blackout, but that isn't even really a campaign.
Yeah, specialist headquarters.
Yeah,
that's not a campaign. A lot of people say, well, this is a campaign.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
That's just clickbait.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the 2v2 race thing was weird. I don't know what Treyarch was thinking with that, but
Yeah.
so apparently after that, the production of Blackout took place, as well as another game mode that we'll be talking about very soon. But Blackout started mid 2017. That's again obvious. PUBG, Fortnite, all of those other games are starting to pop up with battle royale modes. And I think when I first heard about it, I think I was very enthusiastic about it because it's Call of Duty Battle Royale, not just Call of Duty. One of my favorite franchises from Call of Duty, the Blackout series or the Black Ops series, and
Right.
I think it turned out pretty well. A lot of people are liking it. Shroud streaming it a lot, so I think that's giving it a lot of push, as well as a couple other streamers. I just think the concept of it is cool. I'm not good at it at all. I like to play it sometimes. I like to land Nuketown and just all the other zombie spots just to check it out. But yeah, I was very enthusiastic about that.
Yeah, I was actually the opposite of how you felt. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it would be absolutely terrible, and
That's
surprised
pretty
me.
justified. Yeah, really.
And
it surprised you?
it surprised me because I thought it would be terrible, and then the beta came out and I played it. I was like, no, this is actually pretty awesome. So I played it. I was like, okay, this is cool. I mean, it still doesn't beat zombies for me, but as far as a battle royale game mode goes, I think this is one of the best.
Yeah.
For sure.
It definitely beats out PUBG for me.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, PUBG is just another story. But also in this Reddit post, he states that Zombies was also starting around the time of the starting of the Blackout development, mid 2017. So this means Black Ops 4 Zombies wasn't being worked on, I guess, hands on. They might have had some. They obviously had an idea of where the story was going and what they were going to do with the story, but I think the maps and just the layouts and that type of thing, the in-game experience, is what he really means when he says this. And that doesn't bother me as much. It actually speaks to how quick and how dedicated that the people are at Treyarch are. When I say this, I don't mean this with any animosity towards Treyarch. I just think that the zombies mode that we were playing for the last month, I agree with Milo when he said this. It's essentially a beta. It was towards the end of the beta of its beta life, but I think it was still a beta and it still had a lot of problems that it needed to be taken care of. And I don't think Treyarch had any hand in that. I think Activision was completely the one who said that you have to release it early, you have to get the hype going, you have to bring it out early, whether or not you're ready or not.
Yeah, the thing with zombies is that, like, this is not anything new. They always do that. They always wait for multiplayer and campaign to probably at least go through the pre-alpha stage before they get to zombies, because they need to adopt some of the mechanics in multiplayer, and they need to borrow assets from them. They need to borrow some assets at least from multiplayer in order to, start making maps and everything. So they need to sort of make the zombies mode be compatible with what they have working in multiplayer. So they have to have a rough idea of what their multiplayer is going to look like before they even start working on zombies in the first place.
Exactly.
That has been a thing for every zombies game. That's not a new thing. But the thing is, this time they decided to shoot for 4 maps at launch, which is why all the QA problems and all the stability issues have started to resurface. It's because they just didn't have enough time to test it, and that's just my opinion. I just don't think they had enough time to test all 4 maps thoroughly, and that's why the game was so unstable on launch.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think I'm entirely grateful for the 4 maps being there at launch, but I think if they had one more month, I think it would have launched
helped.
So much better. It'd definitely be it would definitely be on a lot more people's radar, because when it dropped, it was on almost everybody's radar, and after about a week, people were dropping it, other than the people that are still playing it. So for sure, a better launch, I think, is better than an early release, and I think a lot of people will agree with that.
I agree, 100%.
Another thing that relates to what you're saying, you are great at segueing, by the way.
Thank you.
Jug was apparently removed because of the armor system, and now when I look at it, because I I wanted to get my point on this specific topic as accurate as I could possibly, or as happy as I could be with it, because Treyarch, a lot of people are saying that Treyarch was lying about the why Jug was taken out, and I think that what they said had some truth to it, but I also think that they did the best with the situation that they were dealt with, because the armor situation is obviously figured out now. They just didn't know what to do with armor, and I think some people are saying that Jug was in the game a couple months before the launch, I think is what they were saying, and it just, they didn't know how to deal with it, so they did the 150 health and then the armor system, and I don't know. I don't really mind them putting it like that, because I think that comes more from a good marketing team more than a deceiving type of thing.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't think they just took Jug out because they couldn't find a system that would be compatible with the armor system. I don't think that single reason is why they took it out. They probably had it on the back of their minds that, hey, maybe, you know, Jug is maybe a disruption to the balance of the game. Maybe those crutch perks need to be either tuned or they need to go, and then this problem and they faced this whole armor problem, and they were like, okay, maybe we can give it a go. Let's take it out, let's do something different and just see how it goes. And they just went from there. I don't think just because they couldn't figure out how to work with the armor system they took Jug out. That seems, because the thing is, like, that would explain Jug, but that still doesn't explain Speed Cola and Double Tap and Quick Revive being gone, essentially, right? That just explains Juggernaut.
I agree with you. I think the system that they have now, in my opinion, better fits the theme of Black Ops 4 than Jug being in there. I think it's more user oriented. I think they wanted to give you more options, and that's what I really wanted from Black Ops 3, was to be given the options to, if there weren't all of the perks in the map, to at least choose which ones that I could use in that map. Have them, basically what I hoped for Black Ops 3 is exactly what they did with Black Ops 4. Just, you know, some tweaks were needed, but I think overall that Jug wasn't intended for the system that Black Ops 4 has.
I think that was a good move, honestly. I really do. Because the thing is, if you had Juggernog and you have this entire special weapon system, that would make the game a little too easy, I would say. Like, it would just be way too easy. You have a specialist weapon which grants you armor, and it makes you a killing machine. And you have Juggernog on top of that, and you have other perks. That would be way too easy. So I think they kind of decided to take Juggernog out and just little by little add other things that would sort of bring a little bit more balance to the game, and also make it so that, you know, you don't die on, like, round 5. I think they were hesitant to take it out at first, just because of, you know, it was one of the first. So again, I think it was a good idea that they did it. And for the people that are saying that they were deceiving people, I don't think that's what it is at all. It really just comes down to, with that statement specifically, the marketing system, but also that it genuinely didn't fit with the game, and it took the armor system to realize that. I mean, the thing is, like, what Jason Blundell said about Jug not being in the game, and he explained the reason for it, I think what he said made sense, and it makes perfect sense. So I don't think they just got rid of it because of the armor. I think that's a little ridiculous.
And for the final topic of today, this one I don't think I could speak on as much as some other people could, and from what your experience seems like to me, just from what you were talking about, is I don't know if this applies to you either, but a lot of people were complaining about no end game.
I guess the thing is, I struggle with that too. Like, I don't quite understand what having an end game in zombies means. I guess, I don't know, an incentive to grind a game. Maybe like that ultimate goal where, like in multiplayer, you have the dark matter camo or whatever.
it's
I
just
guess that's what it means. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I didn't fully understand it because first of all, we're at the beginning of the game. If anybody
Right.
was wondering,
Yeah.
we definitely should not have an end game yet. But I think what
Yeah, we got about a year to go.
from my interpretation of it, it was just the what was the incentive to doing everything in the game, and I think that is still there. All of the 100% completionists, I know a couple of people have already gotten that, and I definitely want to shoot for that this time around. I think the end game, or my interpretation of the end game, is really for the people that are willing to grind zombies. I think also another type of end game would be the Easter eggs. Just doing the Easter eggs. I think that's more
Yeah.
than enough for zombies. At the point we're at right now, I think at the end of Black Ops 4 there does have to be sort of a conclusion and maybe even a cliffhanger, but I don't think we have enough of the game yet to be talking about an end game, which is why I
Right.
brought it up. I personally don't agree with people. I see it a lot that you can't finish the game, or it's unbeatable or whatever. I personally don't get that, so I had brought my own
Yeah,
interpretation
it's
into it.
I mean, it's a non-linear survival
Yeah.
game mode. It doesn't really have an end game. The end game is for you to die.
Exactly.
That's the end game. The goal is for you to basically survive for as long as possible. It's a non-linear game mode. It's not a campaign where you get to like a certain point and you're like, oh, this is the end. And that's, to be honest, that's why I like zombies.
Yeah, that's why
I
zombies
don't
is so
want
good.
to have an end game. I want to keep playing it. I want to keep going for as long as I can. That's what makes it good.
I think if they added the end game, unlike something like they did in Blood of the Dead or what's it called, Revelations, it literally wouldn't be the original zombies as Treyarch had intended, because that's basically,
Yeah.
once you summarize Noct, that's what Noct is. No end game. You go for as long as your system can hold up, but
Right.
yeah, I don't think zombies needs an end game. If it does,
It doesn't.
it doesn't. But I think the only one maps that had it were like what, Blood of the Dead, Mob of the
Yeah.
Dead, and Origins was one too, Revelations, but
I mean, when you do the Easter egg in 9, and I think when you do the Easter eggs in 9 and Voyage, I know in 9 if you do the Easter egg the game ends, and in Voyage I think the game ends. I'm not sure. But the thing is, like, it doesn't need to. Like, I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need the game to end. Like, there's no reason for that. Just
Yeah.
let us keep going, right? And that's one of the reasons I didn't like the tortured path in World War II Zombies, because it had an end game.
Yeah.
You could only play for 11 rounds.
that's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait to get my hands on World War II and roast it afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think the only map that it worked with was Mob of the Dead, because I've only ever done that Easter egg once, and I'll probably never do it again just because of the end game. But I think when it ended, because it was the first game that did end after you did an Easter egg, it was just a cool experience to, the game ended and you didn't need to die or quit. So I
Right,
think
yeah.
it was a unique thing to that map at the time, but I think they should
Yeah,
really
it was part
stop
of its
doing that.
identity. Yeah.
Especially with a map like 9, where I like 9 just simply because of the fact that I like progressing through the levels right now, and when I look at 9 and when I play 9, that's the exact feeling that I get, that there isn't going to be an end to this game unless I let there be an end to this game. So
Right. Yeah, you can choose. Yeah, that's the thing that's good about zombies, that you can choose to go different routes. You can whether you can you want to speed run the Easter eggs. Okay, you can speed run the Easter eggs. You wanna go for a high round. You can go for a high round. You want to play till round 20. You can do that too.
Yeah.
You have all these options, and that's what makes it good. What
Exactly.
makes it fun.
So, that concludes the Zombies Radio, the 6th episode with Aria316. Guys, give a hand to Aria. Okay, it's his first podcast.
Thank you, sir.
It's the first one back. I really appreciate it. I'm pretty sure that this is the longest one that I've ever done, and
Oh yeah.
even though I did stumble on my words,
God.
I really did enjoy it. It was one of the most enjoyable, other than talking about Zombies Chronicle speculations. I think that was probably the most fun I've had. But this one was really fun too. Top tier. Guys, make sure to subscribe to not only me, but Aria316. If you guys are enjoying this content, make sure to, more specifically these videos, share them around because I want to get the word out. This podcast is more meant to be a discussion. I invite anybody that is willing to come on here as long as I have talked to them first, and as long as that they want to talk about zombies and aren't going to be an asshole. So for the people out there watching, if you want to be on, hit me up on Twitter. I will we'll chat. And yeah, anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Yeah, peace.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it has, man.
And thanks for having me on, dude.
Of course.
It's been great.
God bless the dead and bury. Don't worry if you see God first. Tell him shit got worse. I ain't mad. I know you representing the crew, and I can picture you in heaven with a blunt and a brew. Fuck the world. Pain was a part of the game. If you a baller, money went as quick as it came. My role models. Gone or they locked.